Battlefront 2 holds some nasty stuff behind in its past. It may be a really fun game now, but it always wasn't the case. This used to be a loot box gambling game where governments actually had to get involved. Battlefront 2 also holds the world record for the most downvoted comment of all time. So how did such a bad game turn into such a good and playable game that I can actually make content on? Well, you're about to find out. This is the history of Battlefront 2. Also, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed, so if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. It's completely free and it helps out the channel. Anyways, let's get into it. On April 15th, 2017, we received our first look on what Battlefront 2 would look like. The first ever clip from Battlefront 2 was uploaded on this day looking through the campaign, and honestly, I have to say that it was pretty cool. This game was announced 4 months after the cancellation of Battlefront 1, which was released in 2015, and had just finished with its Scarif update. Everyone was excited for this game. Not only would it have a campaign, which the first Battlefront did not have, but it would also have the sequels and the prequel trilogy added into this game, which is something that everyone wanted. Lots of people were really excited for this game. June 10th, 2017, we got our first look of the gameplay that this game would have. Battlefront 2 had one of the best gameplay trailers that I've ever seen personally. Playing on Naboo as the Separatists and Republicans, seeing Darth Maul, Yoda, and all the other iconic heroes was just something extraordinary. This trailer was amazing, and if you weren't already going to buy the game, this was going to make you buy the game as well. The graphics were stunning and looked a lot better than the first Battlefront 2. Nothing could go wrong for this game. If you pre-ordered the game, not only would you get 2 skins, which we'll talk about later, but you also got early access to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta, which started on October 4th for those who pre-ordered. For all the other people, it would start on October 6th and it would end altogether on October 9th. This beta was honestly pretty good. This attracted a lot of YouTubers who necessarily didn't even have that much Star Wars content on their channels. Matt Pat.
And then, look, I got overwhelmed.
That was definitely really overwhelming.
Take me down.
Noah J.
What is going on? My name is Noah J456 and welcome to the Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta.
And Laserbeam.
Oh, what is this? Are those innocent civilians? Yeah, boy! Oh, they make me feel so powerful.
All those 3 big names, but all played the Battlefront 2 beta, and they all said it was pretty fun, and they all liked it. The gameplay was honestly pretty attracting, and it was interesting. It's been so long since Star Wars fans got to play as the prequels in a Battlefront game. It has been a really long time. However, there were some criticisms to the loot box sort of thing. However, many people assume that EA would fix that, and that's just a temporary thing. However, as time went on and people were waiting for the launch, it was coming sooner and sooner. On November 17th, 2017, Battlefront 2 launched worldwide, and many Star Wars fans would have a lot of joy with this day. However, gamers and EA fans would not. They would not at all. Honestly, in my first game of playing, it was honestly really fun. I did not notice any of the problems that this game had. I was having the time of my life. The first map I ever played was Kashyyyk, and it just blew my mind how good this game was. The graphics were stunning, the visual effects were amazing, the map layouts and the maps themselves were beautiful. This game was so much fun. I think I had a total of 2 kills and 30 deaths. However, I didn't care. I had so much fun with this game, and it's probably the most fun I will have in any game ever. However, after those games that I played around 1 or 3 games of Galactic Assault. I got off and I wanted to see why my progression system wasn't really working. For most games, the more you play with something, the more you level that thing up. For instance, now in current Battlefront 2, if you play the officer, you're going to level up the officer. However, this was not the case. In order to level up characters, you needed to buy crates, which is the loot boxes of Battlefront 2. Nowadays, crates are nothing, they're harmless. They usually reward you with your skins, like Old Master, which you have grinded for forever. However, back then, crates were Satan's best friend. Back then, crates were randomized. You could get a purple card on your first opening or a gray card on your 20th opening. And that's mostly what happened, as these crates gave you junk. They mostly gave you around 100 credits, a few crafting parts, an emote of some sort, usually a victory post, and a few star cards. But those star cards would be completely random. Sometimes they would give you Starfighter star cards if you wanted to level up Darth Vader, in my case. However, there was no saying, you just had to keep on opening and opening. Now, there was another way that you could get star cards, and that's obviously getting the credit card number. But in all seriousness, there was another way that you could unlock star cards, and that was through crafting parts. You could actually spend your crafting parts to unlock specific cards that you wanted. However, the price increased as the more star cards you unlocked. For instance, if you have a gray card, I believe it would cost around 20 or 30 crafting parts. However, if you wanted to go from a blue to purple, it would cost around 400 crafting parts. And again, you would only get a few from crates. I think the max I got was around 20 or 30. So you don't get a lot, and you had to spend a lot on these crates, which resulted in a lot of people spending money, spending actual money on this junk. Another thing that many people noticed is that many characters in Battlefront 2 were locked behind a paywall. Well, yeah, you didn't have to pay, but there were 60,000 credits between you and that hero. Of course, the game advertised Darth Maul and Rey, so those two are free. And Yoda and Kylo Ren are also free. However, iconic characters from Star Wars and all of cinema, like Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and Emperor Palpatine, all costed 60,000 credits to unlock. And not all together. If you look at this screenshot, Darth Vader, the most iconic villain in cinema history, is 60,000 credits to play in a video game, which is ridiculous. A highly upvoted Reddit post calculated that you would need to play 40 hours to unlock one character, or spend roughly $250, which is insane. Another Reddit post had a person complaining that he spent $80 to have Darth Vader locked, and I was in the same state. Darth Vader was my favorite character, and I wasn't even gonna be able to play him. Next, we have the most downvoted comment in all of Reddit history. An EA employee responding to that same comment I just mentioned, saying how they wanted to get the feeling of accomplishment. Now, no offense, however, when I get a game, I want a lot of that game. Actually, I want the entire game to come with that game. I don't want to buy an $80 game and have portions of that game locked behind a paywall. Now, I'm one of the people that actually liked the DLCs in Battlefront 2015 because they were optional and you did get a lot of content. But in this game, you're actually paying $80 and lots of portions of the map, of the skins, of the heroes, everything is locked behind paywalls. And this was a big problem. Battlefront 2 just launched and was already receiving much controversy. People who said the beta was really good now hated on the game, like Laserbeam.
classic that we all grew up with and they were awesome and like really cherished memories. And then this giant pile of dog shit. Hey, what if we give you a Star Wars game where the only way to play as Darth Vader is to pay $2,000? What's not to love? Yes, EA, I want you to get fisted by a dinosaur.
And MatPat.
Was going to be sponsored by EA, but due to their decision to aggressively pay-gate essential features of the game, I made the decision to walk away from that sponsorship deal before it happened. It's my belief that spending money on a game means buying the whole game, and not having large chunks of it locked behind impossibly high play cap.
If you look at, for instance, PewDiePie, even he knew the game was garbage, and he loves Star Wars. Jacksepticeye made Battlefront 1 videos, but not Battlefront 2. I wonder why. This game had one of the worst launches in history. Despite all the controversy, EA did do some stuff. At one point, they removed crystals completely, meaning that you couldn't spend any money. They also cut hero prices from 75%, which was honestly really good. I think they should have done that from the start. Or you know what, I think they should have just had Darth Vader for free. How do you launch a Star Wars game with Darth Vader costing 60,000 credits? Or costing anything for that matter? Anyways, Battlefront 2 had a lot of changes, but many were unregarded for as the progression system was still garbage. It still relied on crafting parts and loot boxes and your credit card. It didn't have much to it. However, in 2017, Battlefront 2 would have a pretty bad year. However, it would close off with at least one update other than the launch.
We have 10,000 troops ready to fight.
Don't let them shake you. Numbers aren't everything.
The Last Jedi DLC was pretty meh. At this point, Battlefront 2 needed a massive update. They needed something that would bring back all the haters. However, this wasn't it. Yes, the crate map was pretty cool and it was one of the most visually impressive maps in the game. However, both Finn and Phasma were pretty garbage heroes at the time. Both of them, actually. Current day Finn is really good, but back then, he was garbage. They also added a brand new map to Starfighter Assault along with a brand new Starfighter, Tali Lintra's A-Wing. I still have no idea who Tali Lintra is, however they decided to add her in the game. And that was it, that was the Last Jedi DLC. There was not much to this update and it was released around Christmas time. Imagine that, you're buying a new game for Christmas, you get Battlefront 2. You load up the game to find a bad progression system, a shitty update, and basically no content that stands out. There would not be any content starting in 2018, other than a few dry spells like Aiden Versio's TIE Fighter. However, after many months, in March we received the content update that we actually wanted. Well, it wasn't necessarily a content update, it was more of an update to the game. The progression system, which we all have now. This has the skill points which we are currently using now. So think about that for a second. The progression system which you're currently playing on in Battlefront 2, it took them a few months to create this. This didn't even launch with the game. If this launched with the game, it would be so much better as loot boxes would have been optional. They wouldn't have been a necessity. Yes, the paywall for the heroes would have been a massive issue. However, the loot boxes would have been disregarded for, as if you had this progression system and the loot boxes would just be optional, something you could just take high risk, high reward sort of thing.
Keep your eyes peeled. I think I saw something. Stop worrying, we'll be fine. Think I got something.
In April, we got one of the most underwhelming game modes ever, for the time at least. Ewok Hunt was added at the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's an opinion that I stand by to this day. April 2018 was a bad time, and it was a time for EA to start fixing some stuff, not to be adding useless game modes. Yes, this game mode is really fun, however, I don't think it should have been added here. Think about it, we finally got a new progression system and people want to see what comes next to fix the game, and it's just a game mode about Ewoks and Stormtroopers. I mean, the game mode is fun, however, it's extremely repetitive, so it didn't bring much to the table. Honestly, it was a pretty weird game mode to get at the time. Other than that, we didn't have many game modes added. The only other game mode we had added was Jetpack Cargo back in February, and that game mode itself was also really poorly designed. Many people wanted content. They wanted content. However, with Solo coming out in a month, everyone pretty much knew what the next DLC for Battlefront would be. The Solo DLC had a lot of stuff for short term, however, not much for long term. As for game modes, the only game mode which was added, I believe, was Extraction, with Hero Starfighters coming out soon later. Honestly, Extraction was a pretty fun game mode at first, but didn't feature any maps. If it had more maps other than Jabba's Palace and Kessel, it would have been really good. Speaking of Kessel, it's honestly a really good map, and possibly one of my favorites. It's really good for Heroes vs. Villains and co-op now. We also got a lot of good skins, such as the Han skin, the Lando skin, and Chewbacca finally gets a skin other than his bandage. Who can forget the Bouche Leia skin? That skin is pretty cool. We also got Jabba's Palace, which again is a great map for Heroes vs. Villains and current day co-op. However, other than that, we didn't get much. Yeah, we got Lando's Starfighter, however, we already had 2 Falcons, so we just got a 3rd one. This was a semi-decent content update. However, in the summer, we were notified that something would be happening, and in October, that thing did happen, and it brought a lot of players back. On Halloween of 2018, General Grievous was added into Battlefront 2 after much waiting. The last heroes we got were nearly a year ago, Christmas of 2017, so it was great to see some heroes finally coming to the game. General Grievous was really good fun, and honestly, he's probably one of the funnest heroes to use still in Battlefront 2. Me personally, I used Grievous a lot in 2005 Battlefront, and I had a lot of fun with him. However, he was nothing compared to this Grievous, where you could pull out all 4 lightsabers and do the claw rush thingy. That was really cool, and I really liked that. A few months later, we would get Geonosis in November, following with Obi-Wan Kenobi to go with that. And honestly, Geonosis may not be the best map for kill streaks. However, it was very, very immersive. With the ATTE tank and the Stab Speeder taking down those big oil refinery thingies, power cells, whatever you call it, it was so much fun. Geonosis brought a lot of players to this game, and it was a lot of fun. By Christmas 2018, the game was still in a rougher state. However, we knew that content was coming, and we knew that the Clone Wars had not much content. So we put 2 and 2 together and went with what the devs said, and we knew that we were getting a lot more Clone Wars content in 2019.
Young Skywalker.
Battlefront started with a bang in 2019 and added Count Dooku in January, and he came into the game flawlessly. He was super fun and didn't bring in a lot of bugs, which was really cool. We would also be getting Anakin Skywalker, however, he was the exact opposite. On February 27th of 2019, Anakin was added into Battlefront 2. And I feel like I have to say the date because it's a date that many Battlefront 2 fans will shiver, as this was a terrible, terrible day. I precisely remember this day as it was a snow day and I stayed home from school and I was playing with one of my friends, Ace's Plays. I had just unlocked Anakin and I wanted to try him. I wanted to see how good he is. And I was shocked. In the 1 or 2 games I played, I one-shot killed an entire team on Heroes vs. Villains. I believe it was Darth Vader, Maul, Dooku, and Kylo, all one hit from his heroic might, which was ridiculous. And I assumed that since Anakin was so OP in Heroes vs. Villains, he would be even more OP in Galactic Assault. And oh boy, he was. Anakin was ridiculously overpowered, not only having 3 OP abilities, but having a 4th one, which could wipe out the entire lobby in a press of a button. He still has gone through a lot of nerfs, and I wouldn't say he's overpowered. However, he's more annoying with his ridiculous ability loop, being able to ragdoll you over and over and over again. However, he is much more balanced compared to what he was when he was launched. After Anakin was launched, Battlefront 2 would continue with the Clone Wars, adding in Capital Supremacy, which was Conquest from 2005, along with adding 2 brand new reinforcements, the ARC Trooper and the Commando droid straight from the Clone Wars TV show. This was what everyone wanted. Capital Supremacy was everything everyone ever dreamed of, and although it wasn't Galactic Assault, this was really fun as it brought Battlefront 2005 vibes. It was great. Going on with the year of 2019, we would be seeing a lot more maps added to Capital Supremacy, including Naboo, Kamino, Kashyyyk, and Felucia, which would come later in August of 2019. Along with that, we also saw droidicas coming into the game, which is something that I always personally wanted to see, along with the TX clone tank. In August, every fan of Star Wars would lose their shit when the Clone Commando would come into Battlefront 2. Just try to understand that for a second. A Clone Commando in Battlefront 2 that's playable. That was insane. Along with the Clone Commando, we saw the game mode co-op, which allowed 4 online people to play against bots, which was really good for Battlefront at the time. Xbox and PC were the most dead of the platforms, with PS4 having the most players, and in some regions it was completely impossible to find a game. However, co-op made that a lot easier, only needing 3 other people for a game, sometimes starting with only you. And it was really fun. It gave you the experience and gave you all that XP. Battlefront 2 was honestly in a really good state, and we couldn't wait to see what happened next. In December of 2019, with the Rise of Skywalker, we got the Rise of Skywalker DLC, which included 3 new skins, one for Kylo, one for Finn, and one for Rey, and they all look great. It also included co-op for the sequel trilogy, along with Capital Supremacy, and 2 questionable heroes, BB-8 and BB-9E. By December and November of 2019, many people were talking about the return of this game, and I did not see it myself. Battlefront 2 had gotten a lot better, and it's kind of dumb that I didn't notice. With all the great content, I actually didn't realize what people that didn't play this game thought about it. At first they said, oh, you still play that loot box game? But then when I told them a bit about it, they kind of forgot about how bad Battlefront used to be, and they were shocked that it could be this good, because many people I talked to about this game all played the original, and when I told them that it was as good as the original Battlefront 2, they said there's no way that could be. In Christmas of 2019, Battlefront 2 was officially revived. If you went on YouTube during that time period, you would see a lot of people revisiting this game to review it. IGN actually re-reviewed the game and went from a 6 to around an 8.5, which was really good because they don't usually re-review games as far as I know. This game had made a revival, however, there would be a lot more content to Battlefront 2. With the sequel trilogy getting co-op and Supremacy, there was no doubt in my mind that the original trilogy would get it too, and sure enough they did. In February, it was announced that not only would the original trilogy be getting co-op and Supremacy, but the long-awaited map Scarif would be finally added to Battlefront 2. Scarif was my all-time favorite map in Battlefront 1, maybe next to Bespin, however they're both closely tied. Rogue One was a very high-ranking Star Wars movie for me, and I was so excited when I found out that Scarif would be finally added, along with me being able to grind original trilogy maps, because if you know me, then you know that the original trilogy is my personal favorite. When co-op came in March, I was grinding. It was a lot of fun, leveling up some characters and getting characters to levels that I didn't know that I'd get them to. The co-op update for the original trilogy also added 4 brand new blasters for all the classes, giving 1 to the assault, 1 to the heavy, 1 to the officer, and 1 for the specialist. The officer did get a questionable weak blaster, however the assault class got a ridiculous one, the E11D. With that, the Imperial Jet Troopers also got changes, along with the Death Troopers getting their long-awaited E11D blasters. The Wookiee Warrior also got a few changes, and there were a few visual changes as well. Battlefront 2 was going in a really good road, and in a few months, we'd see the addition of Scarif.
Hello there, this is Dennis Branwell from the Star Wars Battlefront 2 team. Coming in the next update, inspired by Rogue One, Scarif is a unique battlefront. With islands, white beaches, palm trees, sandbars, and crystal clear waters, the beautiful scenery is contrasted by towering Imperial facilities.
On April 29th of 2020, we would get the Battle of Scarif update, which would be postponed a lot due to COVID-19. However, after this update, EA would pull the plug on something that DICE worked so hard to give us, a Battlefront 2 game that was actually worth playing. This was the last content update we would be receiving, and it honestly came out of nowhere. Many people expected that this would be a really good update and then we'd get maps like Coruscant or Mustafar. However, this was not the case. We wouldn't be getting anything. There was still a lot of heroes that needed to be added. I was really surprised when Jyn and Krennic weren't added, and I assumed that they'd be added later. However, they wouldn't be. No heroes would be added. Not even Ahsoka, one of the most popular characters in Star Wars. This update shocked a lot of people as the end of Battlefront, again, it came out of nowhere. However, this was a really big moment for the game as we were ending on a really high note. There was talks about Battlefront 2 ending all the way in January of 2018, only 2 months after the game came out. Can you believe that? 2 months. And now everyone is very sad 2 years later that Battlefront 2. And the fact that people have emotions of this game being cancelled really says something, as in 2017 most people hated this game. Sure, people had fun playing it, but no one really liked the game that much as it was filled with microtransactions. It actually caused governments to get involved, which was really crazy. Battlefront 2 didn't have much happening after April of 29th. In June, the game would be free on PlayStation Plus, which would bring millions of new players into the game. If we're talking about post-Scarif, I have to mention the Grievous Claw Rush, which was honestly really insane. I don't think it needed to be nerfed to the point where it's nerfed now. However, I'd rather this than what they did before. After that, there's not much to talk about Battlefront 2's history. Dennis Brandveld recently left Battlefront 2 and DICE altogether, not working on Battlefield 6, which is a disappointment as he brought us a lot of the content we have today. So thank you, Dennis. You did a lot for this game. As for PC, modders are busy as hell, creating new mods, new heroes, and new characters. Modding is going crazy on Battlefront 2, and I am so excited to upgrade to PC and see these mods for myself. So guys, I guess that's it. We've went through every single content update in Battlefront 2 and its complete history. That was a lot longer than I expected. However, this game has had a major turn from a loot box pay-to-win game at the launch to a really good shooter game, honestly. I've had a lot of people playing this game recently, and when it went on PS Plus, all my friends tried out this game and a lot of them liked it. Back in 2018, I would never recommend someone this game. I could not even tell someone that this game is worth trying or even playing. However, now it's one of my favorite games and a lot of them really like it as well. So I have a question for you guys. How do you guys feel about Battlefront 2? I noticed recently while filming my hero guides that the game is not really good when you play it non-stop. If you take a break from the game for maybe a week or 2 weeks, you'll have a lot more fun playing it when you revisit it. However, if you play it for 10 hours a day, you're gonna have some problems with the game, some obvious problems with the game. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So see you guys next time. Bye. And may the force be with you always.